It's a Dazzle Report channel 108, the only channel you need to watch, the only channel you can see. Except the channels you watch, the channels I see. Not here to impress, only here to express. Today, July the 4th, 2025. Independence Day for America, or so they think. Soon be Christmas 2033, soon be Easter 2040, and the Vapor Canopy returns. July the 4th, Independence Day. They're all celebrating in America, they're all celebrating their freedom and independence. They're so free and independent in America, aren't they? They've been free and independent in America now for 249 years. Yeah, right. Little do the little do the normal NPC population of the United States realise that the United States of America still belongs to the Crown. It's still part of the British Empire. The British Empire just did a little shift change there, you know. It never really was independent. It was a show of independence. Well, that's a subject for another video. But yeah, July the 4th today is so-called, allegedly, Independence Day in America. Last year, on July the 4th of 2024, our revered Kier Starmer was voted into office as our Prime Minister. So here we are to celebrate the first year of his tenure as Prime Minister. And he's done a marvellous job for this country. Absolutely marvellous. And isn't it strange how we had our election on American Independence Day, and at the same time the Americans had their election on November the 5th, on Guy Fawkes Day, which is a British, quintessential British celebration day. Some non-English over there, people that are not of this country. Some would say they are the Queen majority, but that's a subject from the video. So yeah, you had Independence Day, you had the British general election. Normally that does never happen. And traditionally, we have our general election in May of each year, but we've broken tradition a few times now since 2020, since 2019. We had an emergency election in 2019 in December, 2 or 3 months before the scamdemic kicked in. We got Bozo Johnson was our Prime Minister for that particular tenure for 2 years. I think it was less than 2 years actually. We've just had a complete train crash of failed Prime Minister after failed Prime Minister, haven't we? Liz Truss for 6 weeks. Rickshaw shit stack until he got voted out. He was like 2 years, not even 2 years or even, was it 18 months maybe? And then Queer Stalin 1 year, and I don't think he's going to I don't think somehow he'll do another year. But I shouldn't be saying that. I should be celebrating Queer Stalin. Oh, sorry, Kier Starmer. Should be celebrating and I've made a list of all the wonderful things done for our country since it's been here. I made a list, all the things I can remember. I might have missed some things out, but I just wrote it down here to remember. Queer Stalin's achievement thus far. Kier Starmer. Number 1, cutting the heating allowance for the old, so that old people will freeze to death in the winter. Now, some would argue that they only cut the heating allowance for the rich, but that with the lefty red types. But yeah, I've heard lots of stories of how there are a lot of old people who have actually suffered with this one, you know. Anyway, cutting the heating allowance, which is what the Tory party, Rickshaw Shitstack's lot, Bozo Johnson, Rickshaw Shitstack, Lizard Trust, they all were going to go down that way. And Queer Stalin said, no, we're not going to cut the heating allowance for old people. It's a very bad thing to do, and made a massive point about how bad it would be to deprive old age pensioners of heating, and thus basically put their health and life at risk. But the first thing he did when voting into office was continue what the Tories were going to do anyway. Cut the heating allowance. That was one of the first things he'd done. And number 2, allowing even more illegal migrants in at our expense. The boat people from various countries, Middle Eastern, African or wherever, filling up hotels and private rented property at our expense to get free food, get all that, free food, electric bikes. I think a lot of them work illegal for Uber Eats and Deliveroo as well. Yeah, so all's good with that. They get 3 meals a day, they get free free dental, free hospital care. They get free mobile phones, they get clothing allowance, they get they'll probably get eating allowance as well, don't they? Not like the old people, the indigenous folk of this country, the tax-paying residents of the UK, they don't get an eating allowance, what these people do. So they took away the eating allowance of the old people and handed it over to all these foreigners who turn up on boats. And there's quite a few million, so there's more of them coming in now than ever before. So that's number 2. Number 3, sending £4 billion to Ukraine and signing up a 100-year contract to continue financing that regime. The coke-sniffing gay boy, Vladimir Zelensky. Actor, puppet, George Soros. Probably, he's another one who could be a George Soros bastard, you know. Anyway, either way, he's getting the full support of the British government and taxpayer, along with many other European Union countries. So yeah, at least $4 billion. He handed $4 billion over to them in, I think it was February or March, not too long ago, and he signed a 100-year contract that he would continue to finance Ukraine. So there's that one. He's doing a great job, isn't he? That's just the three great things he's done so far for the UK. Number 4, increasing military expenditure to 5% of all taxes paid, while putting UK onto war footing for war alert. So, as I've said in a previous video, UK should be prepared for war on UK ground, on our own soil. We should be prepared for war, he says. It didn't specifically specify, or it didn't actually make a point of exactly what kind of war it was going to be, whether the Russians would invade and bomb us or rain or whatever. I've said all that before. He didn't specify, but the only thing he said was the enemy's not right off. I think what he meant to say was the enemy's far right. And when he says far right, he's insinuating that far right are the white indigenous people of the UK. We are the enemies. We are his enemies, and we are the ones. We are the enemies. As far as he's concerned, we are the ones that they're going to wage war upon on this country. That's my interpretation of it all. So that's the war footing. That's my interpretation of war footing, you know. Cutting PIP allowances. Oh yeah, number 6, cutting PIP allowances. So people who are too sick to work are going to have to go through all that rigmarole of being assessed again. 1 hour assessment with some person who doesn't even know them with some paperwork, you know. That's what they did back in 2010, 2011, 2012, I think it was, with, what was he called? He was the health secretary back, Tory party. Cameron was the Prime Minister at that time, and what was the health secretary called? It wasn't William Hague. I forgot his name, it was the other guy, bald dude. And he, yeah, a lot of people died. People who had terminally ill with cancer and people who were really sick. They were sending them back to work and they were killing them all. I think he killed quite a few thousand. I mean, that's just an example of how the government's actually murdering bastards, you know, murdering fucking criminal bastards. That's just an example. They've been doing it long before the scamdemic. Scamdemic just was on steroids, wasn't it? And when I say the scamdemic, it wasn't the fucking virus, it was the injections and it was the psychological warfare and all the rest of it. And also, yeah, just a little digression here. During the scamdemic, when people needed urgent treatment at the hospitals, they were denied it because there was the risk of spreading the COVID-19 virus. And as a result of that, heart operations, all that kind of stuff, any type of major life-threatening operation was required, was put on hold until they died. Plus they were killing off all people with dasalam and various other substances. This is the previous regime. The blue side of the Uni Party. We're talking about the red side of the Uni Party now. But yeah, just an illustration of how what a bunch of murdering bastards the government actually are. So yeah, PIP allowances being cut, closing down the grooming gang inquiry. So these Pakistani gangs up north of England that were grooming young underage girls, mostly English, some Bengali also, Bangladeshi, because Pakistanis hate Bengalis just as much as they hate white girls. And yeah, we know all about that. The cops turned a blind eye because they didn't want to be called racists, and they were going to relaunch a new inquiry because 250,000 young girls were groomed and abused by these grooming gangs, mostly of Pakistani origin, and I think only about a dozen of them came to, there was only justice was brought to about a dozen of them. So 250,000 girls being abused were all the perpetrators that abused that 250. That's 250,000 over a period of like 2 or 3 decades, maybe from the 90s onwards, you know. I mean, they're all adults now, most of them, and they try to speak out about it, but anyway, Kier Stalin, in his infinite glorious wisdom as our dear leader, said, "No, we're not doing that inquiry. It's not necessary now. It's all that now. It's historical. I don't worry about that anymore. It's done. It's done." I mean, he protected Jimmy Savile. Let's remember. Anyway, 13, expressing his disgust at Israeli genocide, the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, while at the same time using British military resources to assist in said genocide. So he's openly, there was a time when he was actually speaking out against Israel genocide. But while he's saying that, the top admirals and generals and all that, and they were already assisting the IDF in locating, Hamas targets. Basically assisting in bombing and mass murdering Palestinians in Gaza Strip. 14, being a lying, hypocritical bastard with zero personality and charisma. That's another one of the wonderful aspects of his personality, of this wonderful leader of ours. 15, handing the UK back over to the EU despite the Brexit votes. Well, there you go. It's totally disregard the Brexit vote was never honoured anyway. When Bozo Johnson was allegedly voted in 2019, his whole thing was roll this thing. Well, go, just get the job done. Blah, 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 blah. And that was the reason why a lot of people voted Tory, because it was a Brexit vote, because they've been faffing around for 4 years, not getting it finalised since 2016. So, yeah, get the job done, vote him in, scamdemic. It was neither here nor there anymore, the scamdemic, was it? And now, 2025, Kier Stalin, our wonderful dear leader, has pretty much handed it back to you again. You know. 16, the worst fucking crime minister ever. And finally, increasing the national insurance payouts. I mean, he's increased taxes. I mean, let's look at national insurance, but he's increased everything. All the tax has been increased. The middle class people are getting massively taxed. They're leaving the country in the droves. They're exiting this country, taking lots of money with them, taking businesses with them, and all the rich people, these rich middle class people who have a great service to the country because of their businesses and their taxes as well, taking all that away. So all these migrants come in their droves, not doing not doing a single day's work. All the money's being handed over to them, and we, the working class people, have to foot the bill. So that's why taxes are going up, because all the rich are leaving and we can't tax them anymore. Therefore, we, the peasants, need to pay the taxes. So 1 year on, the most popular Prime Minister ever, the most wonderful Prime Minister ever. Salutations to Kier Starmer. Salutations to Queer Starling. July the 4th. America never got independence.